There was always a plan B.
There was always a plan B, yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't work, we're just going to get a job. But at the same time, though, it's just like, if we don't do it right now, when are you going to do it?
Yeah.
When do you try new things?
Exactly.
We took that leap of faith.
And we would never go back.
We're not building a short-term rental business. I think we are building the future of hospitality.
We're not just building a portfolio of homes, we are building a community.
My name is Mauricio Padilla, and I'm the founder of Hinter.
My name is Emily Padan, and I am the co-owner of Hinter and the experience designer.
Welcome to the next generation of hospitality entrepreneurs, a special podcast series brought to you by Behind the Stays. My name is Zach Boozy-Cruz, and I'm the co-founder of Spontaneous and host of the Behind the Stays podcast. And in this episode, you'll meet Mauricio Padilla and Emily Padan, the creators and visionaries behind Hinter, a luxury lifestyle hospitality brand located just 90 minutes north of Montreal.
So I spent 15 years working on software, and don't get me wrong, I loved it. But there was a certain point that I reached and said, like, what comes next? I'm hiking in Norway. I just took a 3-hour drive from Oslo. I'm in the middle of nowhere by myself. Sometimes I just like to go for hikes by myself to get like these introspective things on like what's going on through my head. I realized that my 7-year-old self wouldn't have been proud. Like, my check-ins account would have looked great, but then I would have been like, where did time go?
In summer of 2018, met Mauricio. I was an elementary school teacher, and we met, and right away, part of what we loved so much about being together was we loved to think of ideas, we loved to dream, we loved to think of all the cool things we could do in this world. He was already so passionate about architecture and design. He showed me coffee table books and exposed me to this world that I really didn't know. And I soon became really passionate about it as well. He had already owned a cabin. It was a prefab cabin, which ended up being our OG space. It was called Hinter Cabin. And at that time, it was just a personal cabin. We started going every single weekend together, spending so much time in nature. I knew that there was something else I wanted to do at that point. As much as I loved teaching and I loved being around kids and making a difference in their lives, that was so beautiful, and it was a really nice chapter, but I knew it was coming to an end, and I knew there was something else for me. I felt like I needed an outlet for my creativity. I wanted to do something, just something else. I felt so much, and I felt such a clear difference when I started spending more time in nature, spending more time in beautiful, like, minimal spaces that made me have more space in my brain and in my mind to think and to dream. I think that that is also a really big part of Hinter, of like slowing down, noticing, paying attention.
In German, Hinterland means the land behind. And the word Hinter means behind or hidden.
Yes, life moves fast, but it also could move a lot slower if you slow down and if you take a minute to really notice what is going on around you. Waking up at 6 a.m. every day and coming home when, especially in the winter of where we live, it's literally dark by 4 p.m. And like, I would go into work, it was dark, I would come out, it was dark. It was just not healthy for me, at least. And I realized there's something else. There's something else for me. And I didn't know what it was until we started getting into this world, and then spending time in the original Hinter cabin, spending all that time in nature, surrounded by beautiful design. I felt literally like my nervous system just completely slowed down, calmed down, and I realized, like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Hinter is not born from the idea, let's do short-term rentals for the sake of doing short-term rentals. The whole idea was, how do we create a brand that talks about not the feelings that we have, but the philosophy that we want to actually put out there. And soon enough, we realized that the brand was bigger than the buildings itself. Of course, we think about these things about occupancy, ADR, and whatsoever, because we're running on a business in the back, but like the front end, it is more than that. I think there's this big difference between our concept of luxury when it comes to North America and the fact that we're talking about or thinking about bigger is better, or the more expensive things are, the more luxurious it's going to be. In Scandinavian cultures, they put a lot of emphasis on like the craftsmanship, or like how much love is put into a piece of furniture, and that gives it a lot of like its essence or its value. So it doesn't have to be attached to the monetary side of things, but more of the artistic side of things. In North America, we have this concept that in 4 or 5 years from now, let's talk about buildings or whatever object, it's not good anymore because it doesn't look like new. There's ways to actually let things age. Japanese or Scandinavians are very thoughtful and respect a lot aging. In the case of like Hinter, our buildings are designed to age.
On Behind the Stays, we feature some of the most incredible Airbnbs from around the world, like these spyglass, treehouse, and container homes built by some of the most innovative people in real estate and hospitality. But what if I told you you could build a stunning, unique escape without needing to know a thing about how to design or build a short-term rental? Well, friends, you can when you partner with our friends at Den. You've likely seen them all over Instagram or perhaps even on the cover of Dwell magazine. But in the off chance that you haven't, Den creates high-quality, design-minded cabins that help bring the outdoors in. Some of the most wishlisted cabins on Airbnb and the most followed A-frames on Instagram use Den designs. So it brings me great joy to tell you all that we've partnered with Den to give you an exclusive discount. You can use the discount code BTS50, that's BTS as in Behind the Stays 50, at checkout to get 50% off any of their digital designs. I'll be back to tell you a little bit more about Den in just a few minutes, but for now, open up a new tab, go to denoutdoors.com and start browsing their inventory of digital designs.
We started thinking about how can we make sure that other people are experiencing this same feeling if they're not already. That's kind of when we thought to ourselves, okay, let's open up these spaces to other people. Let's let people experience what we're feeling. We want you to slow down. We want you to get in touch with nature, you to reconnect with your partner or your parent or your best friend.
I'm progressively learning that time is the most valuable thing that we have. How do we create experiences around that? And it's interesting though, because I think the whole idea of Hinter comes from there.
Sometimes people say, do you miss being a teacher? And no, I mean, I'm still educating. I'm trying to, we're trying to. We want Hinter to not just be a space to stay, but a philosophy and a belief, and for people to come and not only like where they are and the couch they're sitting on or the bed they're sleeping in, but also to leave a different person.
It's about education. It's about like changing things. It's about building new things. We give a massive priority when it comes to sustainability. How do you give back more than what you take? The hotel that we're creating in Vermont, we're thinking about with architects, how do we include local communities into it? Not let's just show up there and build like kind of like some super futuristic hotel, but how we envision buildings to be and how do they collaborate with local communities. Every time that we're creating content, we're thinking about those things. How do we simplify things? And like it goes down to color grading.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, exactly. Like when we choose what tones we use, I mean, it literally comes from what makes us feel calm, what makes us feel at one with nature. So we're going to think about earth tones, right? We're going to think about neutrals, things that...
Earthy tones.
Yeah, calm the mind. And on top of that, when you think about even the creators that we then bring into the space, like photographers, videographers, influencers, we're very intentional with that as well. And they become part of our brand. They become part of our story. We've become even, I think, pickier and pickier as time has gone on about who we let into that part of our world and our business, because that's so important that they're sharing our story in an intentional way and in a way that resonates.
All right, folks, I'm back with an incredibly exciting announcement from our friends at Den. Well, you can purchase the digital plans for any of Den's unforgettable cabin designs, regardless of where you live or where you want to build. If you want to build in upstate New York or Austin, Den can actually build your cabin for you. Introducing Built By, a streamlined home building process with modern designs and transparent pricing. Simply browse the Den website, select the cabin design that you want, and Den will handle the rest. Yes, like all of the rest. How cool is that? I've met so many incredible folks in the hospitality space that use Den designs for their own cabin builds. So it brings me much joy to announce that we have partnered with Den to bring you an exclusive discount on all of their digital designs. And if you want to be an early adopter of Built By, we can also provide you an exclusive discount on Built By. If you use the discount code BTS50 at checkout, you can get 50% off any of Den's digital designs. And if you want to build in upstate New York or the greater Austin area, reach out to the team at Den, tell them that you want to experiment with their Built By service, and they'll give you an exclusive discount only available to Behind the Stays listeners. So head on over to denoutdoors.com, and even if you're not quite ready to build, go ahead and buy one of these designs for a future build, because you're not gonna see a discount like this again, friends. Again, that's BTS50 for 50% off any digital design.
Up our sleeve, we do have 2 new spaces coming very shortly, by the end of this year or early 24. Those spaces are right around here as well, actually just up the road from Hinter House, and they're both 3-bedroom. So they're a little bit larger for, more of a family experience, but still intimate. They each have their own character. They're both designed by an amazing architect. And we're also working on a larger space, actually our first landscape hotel in Vermont. So it's our first landscape hotel, and it's also our first time in the US, which is really exciting. And that's looking like end of 2024, maybe even beginning of 25. And that is going to be a main pavilion with around 8 separate spaces with privacy, but still feeling a little bit more sense of connection in this space, because it can be used for retreats, family reunions, but they can also just be rented out completely individually. Another really cool thing that we're excited about in Vermont is we're planning on having a food forest. So we're learning a lot about permaculture and how we can have a space where people can literally go forage their own food, find some mushrooms and cook up some pasta with those mushrooms that night in their space. We think it's a really cool way of continuing to educate people on how simpler is often more beautiful.
For a split second, we were thinking, do we need a restaurant, a high-end restaurant? And we were kind of like, no, why don't we just design a food forest where guests can go in the morning or in the afternoon, go harvest whatever it is in that time of the year, go back to your space and just cook it, and that's attaching us to our core, our roots, and I find that experience very powerful and special.
When people leave a Hinter space, we want them to feel refreshed. We want them to feel like they just experienced something they've never felt before. They might not even pinpoint what it was exactly, but we want them to feel like they need to come back. They need to have this experience again, and they need to tell all their friends that they also need to experience it. And we hope they can take it home with them. They can't obviously take the structure home, but we hope they can take the philosophies home.
There's this Airbnb route and short-term rental route, and there's this hotel route. And I think we're in the verge and in this new era of hospitality where these blend. I think for a while we've been trying to find that middle ground, and when people leave, also realize that middle exists. I just didn't stay in a short-term rental. I didn't stay in a hotel, but I got the best of both.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the next generation of hospitality entrepreneurs. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're looking for more stories like these, check out our podcast, Behind the Stays, wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, and if you want to score incredible deals on last-minute Airbnb stays, especially unique stays like this one here, be sure to check out spontaneous.com, the internet's best resource for last-minute deals and upcoming steals on Airbnb.